welcome back. So, here it is. If we break the vows, some we might know and some we may not, then how should we deal with this? Well, if we break nature vows, and then obviously at that time we shouldn't just take it matter-of-factly. We shouldn't take it lightly. We should really see a red light on our dashboard and say, and immediately when you see the red light, you know you have to make changes. So that's where it is. When we start falling down, then we have to make changes. We cannot just go on in the same way. It means we took a wrong turn. Basically, wrong turn, go back. Is it something like that? What does it say? Turn back or wrong? Huh? Wrong way, go back. That's what it is. Wrong way, go back. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's basically one is to understand. Go back. So that's exactly what needs to be done. We need to go back. Back to basics. It means that somewhere along the line we lost the basics and we have to again put them back into place. Basic things, rising early, no offenses to devotees, trying to be respectful to devotees. And a little reflection, what happened? What happened? How did I lose my spiritual life? What did I do? How did it happen? My God. Then we can actually learn. Because there's a reason why somebody falls down. There's a reason. Was I in the wrong association? Was I weak in my sadhana? Was I getting critical of the Vaishnavas? Was I becoming proud? These are all the symptoms that we must be looking for. When should one take a vow? Prerequisites. I think as soon as we become a little bit attracted to Krishna and the devotees, we begin to see that they are nice people. I was, before Krishna consciousness, I was looking for spiritual life. And I was at one point in the Himalayas, and there's a Tibetan village where the Dalai Lama lives, Cloud Ganj, and I was staying there. And in the morning you have that Tibetan chai with lots of butter in it, yeah? And then they also have little Tibetan breads, that they make fresh. So everyone was there for the chai and the breads, and so was I, because in a cold mountain morning, that seemed to be the thing to do. But then people were talking, and it was all external. It was all about prestige. Are you already studying Tibetan? What meditation are you going to? The first or the second? Oh, you're doing the first. It's difficult in the beginning, isn't it? I remember. Status, showing off for the neighbors. I could see it's all external. So I was looking, and I couldn't find anywhere people who were really dedicated. And then I found the devotees, and then it was the other way around. They were too dedicated. This is a bit too much, But then I was maybe not immediately ready to take to that level of commitment. But still, it took a little while, and then I accepted. All right. And just that acceptance was was a first vow. Okay, I'm going to do it. And somehow or other, I'm going to get serious about spiritual life. And I'm going to chant Hare Krishna. And follow these principles. I'm going to do it. Yeah. So the prerequisite is said akinchana gocharam. One must be materially a little bit exhausted. That's the prerequisite. And then, because that's the basis of sincerity. And then we have to have some faith. Then we can take a level of vow and make some commitment. For a modern day grihastha who has not undergone the training of brahmacharya, what's his hope? Well, I said the training of brahmacharya is about discipline. So one is trained in discipline. So that discipline is obviously helpful because discipline is about building up some habits, some positive habits, some self-control. So that later on, when one does get married, one has that already there, a foundation of good habits, of good discipline. The Grihastha ashram, as I said, is the ashram of responsibility. And whether we have the discipline from before or not, it doesn't matter. At that point, we take responsibility. And that will do. If we then take responsibility, then there is no difficulty. Then it will be fine. Maybe you have to take a little more responsibility. If you have a lot of training, all right, that training will help you. If you don't have the training, well, then you have to compensate for it by doing the right thing anyway. As simple as that. And that's what it is. The modern day grihastha is in a way struggling just as much as the grihastha of the traditional days. I was reading the Manu Samhita. Sometimes I look at it. You may also sometimes read it. Not that it's so important for us that we follow everything in the Manu Samhita. In some ways, the Manu Samhita is very, very strict, and in other ways, it allows regulated meat eating. So, a devotee is not for the higher path, obviously. No, the Manu Samhita also has lower practices in there. So in some ways we are above Manu Samhita, in some ways the Manu Samhita is like having standards that are higher than ours. The point though, that the Manu Samhita is full of references to irregular relationships between men and women. It's all the mixed caste things. When a Brahmin is bringing a Sudrani to his bed, then he is no longer considered to be a Brahmana. He becomes a Sudra. Things like that. Okay? But then you see, so when you think about it, God, these nice Vedic Brahmanas are bringing a Sudrani to the bed. I thought that was Kali Yuga. Yeah? No, that is there also in times when, in the Vedic times, when people were of high moral character. They were weak, as we are weak, because human weakness remained. In Vedic times, they had the Vedic culture, which was so many rules, so many regulations. Now we have Sankirtan. We have hearing and chanting of Krishna. Hearing, chanting, and remembering of Krishna. That is Sankirtan, and that is really what's required. Then we are in the same boat as they were in the Vedic times, which means we have to take responsibility. Everyone, each man for himself. As the three musketeers used to say, God for us all, and each each for himself. And then they would go out. Yeah? And that's how it is. We are all worshipping Krishna. We're all getting the mercy of Krishna. But in our fight with Maya, it's each man for himself. No one is forced to be in illusion. We choose to be in illusion. That is how it is. There are two stories. One story is about a man who was walking up the Himalayas, up the foothills, and he was getting tired, and he was thinking, if only I had a horse. And just then he saw a horse. He said, wow, Krishna fulfills all desires. It must be his plan that I have a horse. So he bought that horse, he paid a good price for it, but it was, sent by Krishna, so he went for that horse. And then he tried to ride the horse, but the horse wouldn't move. He tried every trick in the book, pulled the tail, hit with a fist between the ears, and still that horse wouldn't move at all. Then a little foal fell out of that horse. My lucky day, 2 for the price of 1. Hey. But then, that little foal could not walk, and the mother wasn't walking. And he was thinking, I'm not going to wait for the little foal to grow up. So finally, he took the little foal on his shoulders and he was walking, and then the horse was following behind. So one man saw him walking like that and said, what are you doing? You're carrying a little horse up the mountain and another one is following you? What are you doing? And he told the whole story. Then his friend said, why don't you just leave those horses behind? He said, oh no, I can't do that. I spent a lot of money. So that is us. We cannot make changes, even although our lives have become troublesome, but we don't make changes because we've invested a lot in a particular direction. Oh no, I've invested so much in this, how can I change? But sometimes one has to change and look for more favorable circumstances. Next question. I read the Trinada Pisu Nichena verse. Thus thinking oneself to be lower than the straw on the street means we should have no self-esteem or self-confidence. It's a complicated thing, right? I'm lower than the straw in the street and so on. I'm most fallen. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm lower than a whirling stool. Anyone who comes into contact with me loses all his good credits. I mean, a psychologist would have a field day with something like that. So what about that? Self-confidence and self-esteem for a Vaishnava? Well, Srila Bhakti Thakur has written a song called the Bhakti Kalpataru, the auspicious, transcendental desire tree of devotional service. The Bhakti Kalpataru, a wish-fulfilling desire tree. He says, my spiritual master came and gave me this wish-fulfilling desire tree, but I was not very serious, and I did not look after this tree so well. So I placed it under the care of the Vaishnavas, because they are the natural caretakers of such a tree. And in their association, it is being restored in its original qualification. By my lack of care, this tree, it became weak. But even my harsh mind could not really destroy it, because the tree is so powerful. Now, under the care of the Vaishnavas, it is restored to its original glory. So we should see like that. I have no qualification. I am fallen. I am sinful, but I have received a great gift from my spiritual master. And therefore, I have something to give to the world, although I have no qualification. That's a Vaishnava. So this way, the problem is resolved. We can see ourselves as the most fallen, and at the same time we can experience that we have something valuable to give. And so we don't need to become like all deprived of self-esteem and self-confidence. No. I'm very fallen, but I'm very confident that I have the truth. Very confident. Yes. And I'm proud. I'm very fallen, but I'm proud to represent this glorious philosophy. I'm proud to be a follower of such great teachers. So in this way one can be humble and fallen, and yet take pride in being part of something exalted, like this. That's how it works. And that's why a devotee is never lacking or getting depressed. I'm so fallen, I'm going to jump off a bridge. I'm lower than a blade of grass. That's it. Finished. I can't live anymore. No. I did this. How to understand that a particular vow is not under the mode of passion, rather always in the mode of goodness. Thank you. Yes, there are vows which are prescribed for all, like the four regulated principles, and then there are personal vows that we may take. Someone may decide to fast on Ekadasi, and someone else may have 3 meals a day on Ekadasi. That's personal. So, however, when we take vows in spiritual life that become a burden to us, then that's a sign that we're over-endeavoring, and that's a sign that at that time we must consult senior Vaishnavas and ask them, what do you think? I'm following this vow. Every Monday I'm fasting. So that Vaishnava might say, well, that's all right. It's helped you so far, but now you can move on to something greater. Right? And now you may fast on Ekadasis and on the days dedicated to Krishna, because then your fasting will be more connected with Krishna, not just on Monday. That's more the mood of Karma Kanda. Yes. So, you see, we may do all kinds of things. Oh, I'm chanting Hanuman Chalisa. Well, it's nice that you have this sentiment, but now we are shifting our focus to Krishna. We are, therefore, why don't you chant Brahma Samhita? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to chant Brahma Samhita. So gradually, under the guidance of senior devotees, we may need to adjust the vows sometimes. And ultimately, our spiritual master. And it's our spiritual master who is our shelter. Sometimes we've taken a vow. When I was 12 years old, I took this vow. I know I shouldn't have taken it, Swamiji, but I took this vow. And now what to people come like this, and what to do. Then one can be relieved from that vow by a senior Vaishnava. The spiritual master can relieve us from any other vow that we previously took. Even vows before God, it can be taken. Can be taken away by the spiritual master. When I was young, I was initiated by some guru. Actually, I don't remember so much, but suddenly it was all arranged and it happened, and I didn't have much choice. What can I do? Can I now be initiated again? Yes, because the spiritual master can relieve us from that vow. He can pray to Krishna, please take away all this responsibility of this vow and allow this person now to take shelter of a higher vow. in that way, it can be done. So therefore, ultimately, whatever we do in spiritual life, we must do it under the guidance of the senior Vaishnavas and of the spiritual master. How to deal with conflicting vows? What is the order of priority? Again, it sounds like rather than looking for a general principle or rule of thumb, better consult senior Vaishnava on the specifics of that. Same answer as the last question. What is actual relationship between soul and body? Why the soul suffers for desires of the body, like for example, sexual desires. The soul is meant to be fully absorbed 24 hours a day in service of the Supreme Lord. And only then can there be fulfillment. That's when there's happiness. We see in all cultures of the world, we see many saints. It doesn't matter where you look, but you see, and saintly persons, no matter what the conditions are, they're always happy. That's what we see. So the soul can only be happy in relation to the Supreme Lord. But when we turn away from the Supreme Lord, then we turn to the material world and then we receive a material body. At that time, we become, our desires are fulfilled through the body. And we begin to take these desires as ours. The soul can never be happy by satisfying these bodily desires. For a moment, it may seem that there is happiness, but it is actually the mind that is experiencing this happiness. The soul is never fulfilled as long as the soul is not fully absorbed in devotional service. And that's why we see that even when we're practicing Krishna consciousness, because we're not fully absorbed yet, we're still not happy. Still not happy. Happier than before, but still not happy. Because still not fully dedicated to Krishna. Somehow, 4:30 p.m. This was an announcement. A drama cannot happen. We can take a break or do some kirtan. 4:30. Yeah. It's 6:10. How to understand about possessing wealth as Kali resides in gold. That's right. So then one has to be very generous. And if one is very generous, like our Alfred Ford, Ambarish Das, who met Prabhupada, became impressed by Prabhupada, and gave so much money. First, for various of Prabhupada's projects, for buying that project in Detroit, big mansion, after finishing Prabhupada's samadhis, both in Mayapur and Vrindavan, millions he gave for that. And now he's giving practically all his money. He keeps some, but most he's giving for constructing the temple in Mayapur. Then, all that wealth, no problem. But if you are a miser, and you have millions, and you give a few thousand, then all the other millions will pull us away from Krishna. You have to understand that. So, a rich man has a great responsibility. He has to give to Krishna, or he'll become corrupted by that wealth. Can one go back to Godhead by following Varna Ashram Dharma? If yes, how can one become Brahma by following 100 lives, perfect Varna Ashram Dharma? No. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that Varna Ashram is fruitive, and that Varna Ashram Dharma is never free from material motivation. It is about happiness in the material world. Only through devotional service can one actually go back to God. There is no other way. And then particularly in this age by chanting Hare Krishna. That's it. So, that's it. So do not try to become Brahma or Indra or another important personality within the universe. Simply try and serve Krishna now, purely. Not tomorrow, now. From now on. Make the change now. I read that we can access Radha Krishna only through Lord Chaitanya Panchatattva. So why do we worship Lord Sringadev, etc. in Mayapur? What does Sringadev worship have to do with Radha Krishna? There are two books written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur about Navadvip. The first one is Navadvip Mahatmya, and it gives us a description of all the holy places in Mayapur, and we can visit there and so on. Then the other book is called Navadvip Taranga, and that book is showing, Taranga means waves. It shows the emotional experience that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has as he goes to all the holy places in Navadvip. And when he comes to Sringapati, the place where Lord Sringadev is in Mayapur, he begins to pray to Lord Sringadev as Vigna Vinasam, as the one who takes away all the obstacles from the heart, and that he may take away all the obstacles from the heart, so that that one will be free for the service of Radha and Krishna. So that is the relationship between Sringadev and Radha and Krishna. Yeah. These are done. Senses are the biggest impediment for our spiritual life. Why did Krishna give us such senses, which are so hard to control? Because these senses, they are reflections of our original spiritual senses. Just as these material bodies, they are reflections of the original spiritual bodies. The senses of the original spiritual body are much more rich and much more full than the ones we have now. But still, this body is a reflection of a spiritual body. Therefore, the same capacity is there to see, to taste, to smell. But now, focused on material things, nothing can satisfy for long. Many things we like. Nice smell. But nothing can satisfy continuously. Only spiritual things can continuously satisfy. That is the thing. So we should not blame Krishna for giving us the senses. We should understand we wanted a spiritual world. We wanted the kingdom of God without God. So here we are. He gave it to us. Here's your kingdom. I'm not there. But now we walk with Krishna. Krishna, where are you? We can't see you. No, I'm not there. But now you have my kingdom without me. But it is true that Krishna put a little sand in the sweet grass. Because he wants us to go back to the spiritual world. He doesn't want us to waste too much time into it. I was reading about the vows, a chaste woman in the chaste women in the 7th canto, and it was said that wife should be favorably disposable towards husband and equally so towards his relatives. This is a bit indigestible. Also the lady that wrote it. But not such nice relatives. Must be something like that. Well, okay. That means these rules are not whips, you know. They are not whips. You must be favorable to all my relatives. I've got a sloka. No, it is a guideline. It is how civilized people live. Right? But it doesn't always work, because sometimes the relatives are so unfavorable towards us, and then it's not recommended. Just like Lord Shiva's wife Sati wanted to visit her parents, Daksha, but Daksha was very critical of her husband, and Shiva knew it. And Shiva told her, don't go, don't go. They will criticize me and you won't be able to bear it. Yeah? But my father, my mother, everybody will be there, you know, there will be a big yajna, and the whole universe is going to be there. I'm not going to be there. You know, how can I miss a big event like that? So she went, and it became a big drama. And she became so disgusted. So it's not always possible to be favorable. So then you can be favorable on a distance. Say, okay, I will favorably on a distance means there's no need to criticize them, even if you can't get on with them. If you can't get on with the family members of the husband, then the advice is keep some distance then, but not to all the time find fault in his family. No, just be quiet. That is also, bite the tongue, that is also favorably disposed. I don't know if that's undigestible, but something we have to digest, what can be done. And if it's so hard to digest, then maybe we need some aid, some digestion aids, you know, some pills or a little ginger or something. You said that one can go back to God by chanting 16 rounds and following the 4 eggs. Does that mean we can go back to God without taking initiation? It says that by the chanting of Hare Krishna, you can go back to Godhead. But then you have to chant it perfect, with love for Krishna. Then you can go back to God. Now, when we take initiation, it's the other day I gave a lecture about that. And it was basically about, it says in the scripture that at the first initiation, the Guru gives us the mantra. And we go like, gosh, I already got that. It's one of those things, it's a birthday, you get a big box and a gift inside. You open it up and you go, oh God, I already have that. You try to not look disappointed. But it's difficult. Right? So the time of initiation is like that, you know. The Guru says, now I'm giving you the mantra. So I got it already when I came to the temple. You know, Bhakti gave it to me. He gave it to me long ago. He said, say after me, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And he gave me the mantra card. So what is happening? The Guru is giving us the mantra, but the main thing that he gives us along with the mantra is his prayer. He prays to Krishna, please accept this devotee. And the Guru has credit with Krishna because he's done so much service. Therefore, Krishna is inclined towards him. So if he prays, all right, then Krishna will help. So if we want to chant 16 rounds and 4 legs without taking initiation, what's the quality of our chanting? What's the quality of our spiritual life? It's poor. Therefore, when the initiation is there, it means the spiritual master is committed to continue to pray for us. So we better take initiation. We need all the prayers we can get, and the way we are chanting. You know how you're chanting. You know it very well. You know it very well. So, therefore, we should take initiation. Not taking initiation means that we are thinking that I don't need help. We need help. We need all the help we can get. Only then can we go back to God. With the help of the pure devotee and with the help of Sri Chaitanya. 6:30 is the dinner break, I think. That's great, yeah. Yeah.
I know some it's hard to take initiation a long time.
Yeah.
They may be chanting for 15 years, but they haven't taken initiation.
Yeah.
They say their husband is as good as the guru.
What are they saying?
The husband is the guru.
Well, you know, like in the traditional time, it's true, the husband was acting as the guru. Right? And but in this day and age, it's very difficult. Mostly the husbands don't have that spiritual strength to really be the guru. So the husband's credit, and he doesn't have enough credit in his spiritual bank account to really invoke the mercy of Krishna. So it may take a long time. Yes, they may stay together in the next life also, and they may go on in devotional service. But it's better to connect with a very powerful, pure devotee who can take initiation, who has a lot of credit with Krishna. Then we can very quickly get the advantage of that. But we appreciate that someone is faithfully following a devotee husband. Obviously, if the husband is a nice devotee, and if there's a wife who's nicely serving, assisting, then we appreciate that. And Krishna also. So maybe there is a case, where one lady will have very faithfully served the husband, right? And she was never initiated, but the husband was initiated. And maybe Krishna will say at the end of his life, anyway, okay then, let her in. That's called Kripa Siddha, right? Attaining perfection through mercy. So it may be possible that sometimes someone like that attracts special mercy. But it's not something to count on, right? So again, we shouldn't count on that. We should just take shelter of spiritual master. But now, Sham is prasadam now. Ow. That's already better. Yes.
Not wanting to introduce another category, but you can have a time in your spiritual life when you start experimenting with vows. Or that you hear someone does a contest, or you think, I'll try that, and that might help in a spiritual life, or get up at 2 o'clock, that can help me. The mind just keeps on just trying all different things, rather than just actually, trying to get close to Krishna.
Yes. Yeah, like all these things of extra. Sometimes the focus shifts to the external practice, right? I'm fasting, 3 days a week. I'm so great. I'm getting up at 2 and everyone is still asleep. So then there's a hidden motive. And one is doing these things actually for recognition. One doesn't do it for the pleasure of Krishna. So there's a lot of people who do a lot of things, a lot of difficult austerities, actually, that look very devotional, but that are really more for their own recognition. So it's true. Therefore, when we take so many vows, it's good to do that under consultation with senior Vaishnavas. Therefore, at one point, one has to give up his independence, under a senior Vaishnava, under the spiritual master, one works. And he may say, oh, that's nice, oh, that's not so required. That's not so important, depending on the situation. So in the end of the day, the spiritual master is needed, and to give us some guidance like that. And at one point, of course, we become more experienced and we don't need so much guidance. But still, we always remain a fool before the spiritual master, isn't it? So, always looking for some guidance. Okay, now I am tired. So I'm ready for the break. It's the dinner break. And then there's 7:45 cultural program. I hope it's still on. Otherwise, a Yogi Day, it's going to be one of those spontaneous ones, stand-up comedian on the spot, right? Cultural program, and then some more kirtan, and then a little bit of rest. So thank you very much. Let's take a little break, take some prasadam, and chat a little bit. Thank you very much. Hare.